and welcome back to the Uncommons channel. My name is Blandine, and today's episode is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be really of a topic. It's going to be more of a you guys getting to know me, my background, and a little bit more about this podcast. And before we jump into the episode, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, and also follow us on our social media pages. That's all. So let's jump into it. First two questions that I'm gonna answer are my age and where am I from. So I'm 22 years old and I was born in Haiti. I came here when I was 9 years old. So and right now I live in West Palm Beach, Florida. So Floridian, Haitian, I guess you could say. The next question, which I kind of didn't want to answer, but I'm gonna just answer it to get it out the way. Am I single or taken? I'm single, like I had talked about in my previous episode with me and Fritz on the topic marriage. I had said that I'm not really looking for a relationship right now because I'm currently focused on my studies and building my relationship with God. So next question, do I go to church? Yes, I'm Haitian, so yes, I go to church. I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a say in that matter if I wanted to go to church or not. So growing up, all I've known is l'église, l'école, la caille, which in English translates to school, church, home. That are the three things that all Haitian kids go by growing up. I used to go to church Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I literally, if I wasn't in school, I was in church. So I've been in church all of my life. School. So I currently go to FAU right now. I'm getting my bachelor's in neuroscience and behavior. Then afterwards, I plan on going to pre-med, to medical school. So I plan on going to medical school to become a neurosurgeon. So yes, I will be spending all of my life in school. Yes, sadly, but you gotta do what you gotta do to become what you wanna become. Guess that'll do it. Alright, now we're gonna move on to the questions related to the podcast. Alright, first question is, why did we choose the name Uncommons? Honestly, it took us about a week to come up with this name because we wanted to be different, we wanted to be unique, because with this podcast we wanted to spread the gospel, obviously, but we didn't want to come about it the regular way that most people do, like hardcore preaching, just going straight into it. We wanted to be more of a conversation where people could also respond back to us, let us know how they feel and not get scared about the gospel. So that's why that name is to reflect our idea for how we wanted this podcast to go about. Hardest thing about becoming a YouTuber, hardest thing, being consistent. Like, oh my gosh, it's hard because you have to be on top of it because a video is supposed to drop every week, so you have to have the video before. So it's like being consistent about recording, editing, all the stuff that goes into it before you drop a video it's a lot of work. So it's just being consistent and staying on top of your game. That for me, that's what it is. How long did I have the idea? I had it for 5 years actually, but before I continue with that question, I'm gonna answer the other one, which is, did I do something like this before? I did, but it was more of a blog. So it failed, obviously, because it was hard. It was because I had to be consistent, and it's like I wasn't consistent, and I felt like I wasn't getting enough views on it, because which makes sense, because it was, people had to read it, because the way I am, I love to write. So those blogs used to be about 5-6 pages long, and I know nobody's gonna sit there and read 5-6 pages, because I wouldn't. So that failed very quickly. That lasted about, I would say, a year and a half. It was more of an on and off thing with that. So it didn't last for a long time. And then I took like a break in between, but I still had the idea in my head that I wanted to do something where I could spread the word, but in a way that's not intimidating, you know, that can bring people in, you know, fun, exciting, you know, different. So then I got with Fritz, and I was telling him about the idea, and he told me to do a whole podcast, which is different, but it's easier to do than to write. It was easier, but it was hard, because I'm not used to talking on camera or talking in front of a mic, you know, and pretending that they're not there. You know, that was like my hardest thing to learn, is to talk as if a camera or a mic is not in front of me. Just talk like normal, like someone is next to you, you know? It was hard. So I had to learn, and it took me a couple of tries before, you know, I started to get the flow of it. So it's not gonna come natural if you don't do this on a normal basis. For those of you who want to do a YouTube channel or start a podcast or whatever it may be, you know, all I can say is practice. Practice makes perfect. So just gotta keep practice at it, because that's what I had to do, and here I am now. So next question, when did I actually start? With the podcast, I started this year. The beginning of the year, this year, I actually started it, you know, had to write out my ideas, you know, the topics. We started on just a mic before we went to the YouTube channel, because we wanted to test out the waters. So season 1 is just our voices, because it was mainly because of me. I was afraid to talk in front of a camera, because I'm not a camera person. So I had to get over the fear, because I'm like, if I want to spread the word, you know, you gotta get out of your comfort zone, because there's no way you're gonna be able to reach people out there to bring them into the gospel if you're gonna stay in your little box. So this podcast is really teaching me to get out of my comfort zone, you know, not be afraid. It's hard, but I'm learning. My end goal with this podcast, honestly, my end goal is to just reach as many people as I can, to bring in as many people as I can to God, you know. That's why I try to make the topics a variety. I don't just stick to just Christian. I also talk about non-Christian topics, but you know, even though I talk about those topics, I try to bring in my Christian viewpoints into it, and try to give my Christian advice, and you know, maybe that way one day somebody will be inspired or want to get to know Christ by themselves on a personal level. You know, that's what this podcast is really about, is to just spread the word, but in a fun, positive way, not the strict ways, guys, because I went through it. So, you know, I'm trying to come about it in a different way, a way that I would have wanted somebody to tell me, you know, to teach me about God, you know. So that is all the questions that I actually had. It was pretty quick, so before I end this, go ahead and subscribe if you didn't in the beginning of the video. Hit the subscribe button. Follow us on our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and also subscribe to our podcast platform on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, and obviously YouTube. And also follow my personal Instagram page. I'm going to leave all of these in the description box below. And until next time, remember that we are the salt, we are the uncommons. Now let's write.